Hello, everyone. My title today is The Caribbean is More Integrated Than Ever, Caricom Notwithstanding. Over the 5 decades of Caricom's existence, our leaders have signed successive agreements committing our region to ever stronger cooperation, all the while implementing policies that are more and more divergent. In theory, CARICOM has gone from a free trade area to a common market to a single market space and now to a single economy, implying commonality of financial and commercial regulation and common rules and procedures. The reality is that each member country has its own internal systems, and the laws, rules, and procedures governing the movement of goods, people, and finance between members are the same as for the US, UK, Canada, or any other non-CARICOM country. Although the University of the West Indies predated CARICOM, it has come to be seen as a symbol of regional unity. However, I contrast my own experience as an economics graduate from UWI in 1967 with that of the typical UWI graduate today. I graduated with a lived experience of my Caribbean identity, understanding Jamaican Creole, partying to the music of the Scatolites and the Supersonics, going to the annual economic retreat at the University House in the Blue Mountains with Guyanese, Antiguans, Kititians, Trinidadians, and Belizeans, rooming with a Dominican, and learning how steel pans are tuned from Trinidadian pan tuners. After the 5 years I lived, studied, and worked in Jamaica, I came away with many personal memories, experiences, and lifelong friendships. In contrast, today's Antiguan, Barbadian, or Jamaican graduate has no personal experience of the Caribbean as a whole, and no greater personal appreciation of a Caribbean identity than any non-graduate of what is supposedly a regional institution. In the 1960s and early 1970s, newly independent Caribbean countries actively collaborated in designing economic policies with the participation and advice of renowned scholars associated with the University of the West Indies and the Sir Arthur Lewis Institute. When the UK devalued the pound sterling against the US dollar on November 18, 1968, Caribbean countries approached the UWI to advise as to whether they should follow suit. The Institute arranged for studies to be prepared, and a conference was held at which the pros and cons were discussed. Encouraged by the insights which this exercise yielded, the region's central banks and the UWI set up a permanent program for regional economic policy research. That program evolved into the Caribbean Center for Money and Finance, which I headed for a brief period a decade and a half ago. The center has since been dissolved, its services no longer needed now that there is no longer any interest in regional policy coordination. The economic thinkers whose work influenced the formation of the Caribbean community saw economic integration as a tool to promote the diversification of the region's exports beyond sugar, bananas, oil, and bauxite. The classic 1967 The Dynamics of West Indian Economic Integration, written by Professors Clive Y. Thomas and the recently deceased Havelock Brewster, was an in-depth study of manufacturing activities that might be supported for regional production with a view to building a large enough capacity to export these products to the world at competitive prices. Other studies published around this time explored how the Caribbean might combine resources of members to add value to the raw materials the region exported. For example, by using Trinidad's energy resources to process bauxite from Jamaica and Guyana into aluminum for export. None of these strategies ever materialized. The Caribbean is unquestionably more integrated today than it was 50 years ago. Since that time, Trinidad's style of carnival has spread into the diaspora and across the region. Jamaican music has become a world phenomenon, with variants springing up everywhere, including in the Caribbean. Caribbean literature attracts readership across the English-speaking world and in the region. And thanks to many decades of emigration, the presence of large communities of Caribbean people in major cities in North America and the UK, almost everyone has personal links of family and friendship across the Caribbean region. This is not the pattern of regional integration which the Caribbean leadership has in mind, but it has developed organically to the benefit of the region's people, providing rich and dynamic cultural experiences for us to enjoy and celebrate, and enriching the livelihoods for cultural practitioners, regional economies, and everyone who benefits from remittances, pensions, and other income from abroad. Ironically, it is often in Miami, New York, or Toronto that we feel most Caribbean. There is no need to abandon Caricom. It is a useful forum for leaders to meet regularly to exchange views on the issues of the day and the performance of their economies. However, it is surely naive to expect that the decisions made at these meetings will have some impact in the future that is more notable than has been the case in the last 50 years. The one major change that would deepen Caribbean regional integration significantly would be the use of US dollars for all local business in place of the national currency. No Caricom decision is needed for any country to reap that benefit. Thank you and good day.